Yo, what's up, Ghent? We are MODDER, an industrial psychedelic sludge metal band. We're here to talk about our new album, Destroying Ourselves for Replacing the Sun.
Right.
Maybe let's go to the second track and then we can start with the questions. So maybe we can.
Oh,
It's already muted. Yeah. So maybe we can start with when did you start writing the album and recording the album, and how did it come to you as an idea? Okay, now we're gonna make our next album.
So we always kind of work in like cycles with our albums. It was never like a question of like when we released our previous album and we did like the whole promo thing and did the shows. It was never a question of what are we gonna do next. It was always just okay, we're gonna write an album now. And sorry, what was the other question again? Sorry.
Did you have a specific motive in terms of like, I don't know, progressing your sound with this album? Did you have a specific idea of like what you want to reach?
So this is the first album where we actually each one of us contributed equally. So of course it's very hard to say that everybody provided the equal amount of riffs, but like we truly wrote this album as a band, not as just one guy bringing all the riffs and then the other guys working around it. It's just yeah, we all brought riffs, we all had our say in it. So in that way, for us, it was a real progression because previously there was one guy bringing most of the riffs, that guy over there. He was bringing most of the riffs, and then we would work around them. And now, like each of one of us had riffs, had ideas. We all had like something to say and music-wise that we really wanted to tell. So it came together very organically, like the songs and the flow and whatever. It was not really that hard.
I want to add something.
Nice.
We also wanted to go very heavy and very experimental, even heavier than our previous album, and I think we succeeded.
And the electronics.
You definitely succeeded, but I also want to know maybe the first track you can recall that you started writing and recording for the album. Like what started it?
It was actually the previous track, not the first track you heard. It was a Stone. It's called Stone Eternal. That was the first one we actually truly wrote together. The other ones, kind of flowed through each other. Also, a good point that Maurice just said. We also really wanted to bring the electronics more to the forefront on this album. I also think we succeeded in it because they always were there. It was always a big part of our sound, but we really wanted to push it like forward and in the upfront. Like, hey, we also have like this great wizard behind the keys and behind the sounds, and we want to give him like a more space in the sound. And yeah, it worked out great, I think.
Yeah, but not only that, but we also each of us have like a very broad musical taste, so we wanted to incorporate that also. Like we also have very different backgrounds in music, electronic music also. So it's really amalgamation of all our backgrounds, I think.
All right, then we can maybe move on to the next track. can continue with regarding your inspirations for this album. Was there anything specific that inspired you, or anything in terms of a band or an idol, anyone that inspired you? And if yes, which tracks do you see these influences the most, or something specific that comes up to your mind?
I think like Simon said, we like our backgrounds are so diverse, and we like listen to a lot of Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. Oh, my back thanks you. No, like Simon said, our influences and our tastes go so wide, and our backgrounds are so diverse. But I think like playing our previous album, The Great Liberation, through hearing live for like 2 years now, we really felt what worked live, like which are the heavy parts, like the calmer stuff as well. And I think we just like built upon that, and just like influenced ourselves just by trying to get it to several bigger levels, like just make it heavier, make it more experimental, make it more unique by the electronics and I think just we want to be like one of our main goals is to be a very heavy band, like, and like most bands get older, they like calm down their sound, and with us it's like just the opposite. We want to pull this thing just wide open and see how far can we go with this heavy sound.
But if you want to talk about like actual like influences, I think a good reflection of what bands actually inspired us is how we refer to certain parts within a song. Like the end of the last song from the album, we'll play it later. We refer to it like as the Meshuggah part, because it's like kind of a genty part. So we call it the Meshuggah part, or the middle part from the, not the previous track, but the one before that. We call it the Primitive Man part, because it's very heavy and very doomy. So like there you see all the kind of different influences we have and all the bands we really like. But yeah, it's not only metal. It's I'm a real big fan of Vampire Weekend, which is like indie rock. So it's all kinds of stuff we listen to.
I was just going to say, like you said, writing music changes, depends on everyone. That sometimes it's exact like equal contribution, and sometimes it's more just one person. So if you can think of those specific things that, okay, I feel like I contributed a bit more idea-wise for this track, and things that made it a bit more like characteristic for you, relating to your life, what you do.
Come on.
Well, yeah, the writer of the last song we just played is to the toilet now, so I'll talk for him. But it's a song about a locomotive, and it's which is quite a nice metaphor for the music that we play. Type 27 is actually a type of locomotive that is used by the Belgian railways. And he's a machinist. How do you say that in English? Train driver. Yeah, that's it. It can be as easy as that. Yes. And well, talking influences, Greg just talked about Meshuggah and Primitive Man. But yeah, I'm a '90s kid. I grew up listening to crossover, which is an old-fashioned term, I think, for piling up all types of music, and that's the way I see it. We like to pile up riffs and see where it will go, and I think we quite well managed to put it together and make a story of it, which goes from the beginning to the end.
Yeah, and also purely from like a practical songwriting standpoint, to come back to your earlier question, the way we work is usually we just have like a big folder of riffs, just ideas, snippets, and then we come together, we listen to them, and we just like make some kind of puzzle in a very organic way during rehearsals, to just make a cohesive sound. And that's the way we've worked partly for the second album, and that's the way we worked for the third. So yeah, it's sometimes there was a very specific idea for a part of a song, but the songs in the whole were just like yeah, different ideas from different people, different riffs, maybe some electronics all blended together.
It's a different story for every song.
Next track.
Yeah, maybe we can continue with the next track.
Like, if somebody can hear the influence for the first drum beat, let me know.
Okay.
It's not what you'd expect from a band like us.
This is how it sounds like when you're destroying yourself for a place in the sun.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, we gotta talk, indeed.
You're gonna talk.
I do have some questions still. I just wanted to ask, I imagine in the songwriting there were personal parts for all of you for certain parts of certain songs. Yes, I am short. For certain parts of certain songs. So if you were to come up with like, for each one of you, a song or two that was like, okay, yeah, I really feel this is personal for me. So your favorites that you recorded or favorites that you wrote together.
The second song of the album, we also played it as the second, is called MODDER. Oh, gee. That's my personal favorite because that riff, that openings riff, is like a riff that I wrote like 15 years ago, and it never found a home. So I'm very happy that it got a home. So that's like one of my more personal songs. Anyone else?
Like in the last track, In the Sun, there's like this black metal riff I've been carrying around with me since my previous relationship ended not so good. And so I'm happy it found a home in a very energetic track, and also like for me, like the flagship track of the album. So I'm happy. It's hard.
And au contrary, also in the song Matter that Greg just talked about, some riffs, like they said, Mathieu and Greg, were in their pocket for like many years. But in the middle of Matter, I came up with a bass line on the spot. I prepared the songs before recording, and I didn't have that in mind to play. Only when I was recording my parts, that came up about. So it's a nice mismatch of mix of stuff that that we are carrying around for a longer time, or stuff that just recently came up.
Yeah, the track I would choose is a track you're gonna hear later. It's Chaosm. It's a track that I think is the one that maybe the most out there from the album. It was made in a very like 90s junglist mashup way, and it's, I think, very unique for a metal track. So that's a soft spot in my heart for that one.
I'm known for being very chaotic and weird, so I wanted to make sure that we have a lot of eclectic stuff on the album. So I think you already talked about the train stuff.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, and I think I can say that I had the weirdest riffs implemented in this album, so I'm very happy.
Then maybe we can continue with the rest of the album.
Oh yeah!
All right. Apart from your favorites, I can imagine in the writing process and then on the recording process, there are a lot of hassles, obstacles to go through. If there's anything that comes up to your mind regarding these obstacles, that's something that gave you a really hard time, that made it memorable for you, maybe not in the best way possible, but still, maybe you can share it with us a bit more.
Yeah, sorry to be talking so much, but for me personally, the hardest part to record is in the next song. There's like this. There is a part in the middle of the song that goes really fast, a lot of blast beats, and there is a certain technique. I won't go into too much detail. It's called a Dirk blast, and it's really hard to master, and it's really hard to perform. And I had to do it quite a few times because I kept fucking up. So that was a pretty hard one to record for me personally. So yeah, that's for me. That was far out for me the hardest one to record. It's also like 9 minutes, so fuck my life.
I think like for me, because the hardest part about creating this album was mixing it, because I do the mix downs, but I also immediately have 4 people giving feedback, and that can be hard for the brain and for the heart if you like made any mixing decisions, and then you get the immediate feedback. It can be very disheartening at first, but I think like because we're a very DIY minded band, and I really found the power in it eventually that we can create this together. So making this album sound the way it does, it was difficult, but it's one of my proudest achievements.
Yeah, for me the most difficult part, well, difficult is maybe wrong way to say it. Like the nature how we work is like a bit segmented. Like first drums get recorded, then guitars get recorded, and I put like the spice on top. So because of that, I had to do everything in a rather short period of time, which was a very stressful, amazing all-nighter period. It was awesome, but I think I lost a couple of years of my life doing it. Here, yeah. But yeah, no, it's awesome, but it was very stressful, and I think I thrive under stress, so it was pretty nice.
For me, that part of the album process is very, very chill because I don't have to do anything anymore. I can just be an asshole and say, your mix sucks.
For me, it was pretty hard to come up with a solo because I'm I'm more of a rhythm guitar player, and he kept asking for having some solo. You could hear that solo in the previous song, but I'm pretty proud of the solo in the next song because I had a hard time to come up with it, but I'm very happy that we could actually do everything at home, so we could sculpture our own sound in our own area, and that what happened, and let's hear it.
try to count this.
To say yes to one instant is to say yes to all existence. So that was the last song of our latest album, Destroying Ourselves for a Place in the Sun. And while the other guys were just whining about the fact that they had stress recording the album, well, it's also very satisfying when you can say afterwards that it was really nice that you were able to organize yourself and pull this off in 1 year. We started talking about this record 15th of August 2024. And here it is, man. So we're really proud of it. And talking about organizing, what about you organizing your agenda? Because we're playing live in Belgium quite a lot. First time that we play more shows in Belgium than we did in the Netherlands over the past 2 years. So see you at Brugge, Malle, Kortrijk, Eeklo, Genk, and finishing off on the 17th of January together with our friends Cobra the Impaler at Winter Circus Gent, 17th of January. See you there at Gent. Thank you.
All right. Personally, the last track is definitely my favorite one, but you're welcome. Apart from that, I just wanted to ask one more question. Since it had so many unique elements in terms of, okay, it's metal, but it has a lot of different influences to it, and it can be heard quite easily. I can imagine the mix and master is really hard. But so what is next for you guys after this album? Apart from the shows that you have to play, what do you see for the future for yourselves with the band?
The future is play more shows, make it even heavier, keep writing records. Yeah, just keep expanding on the MODDER universe and just let's see where the risk brings us, you know.
All right.
I want to explore more tunings because we only have 4 different guitars for each show. That's gonna be very nice.
More gear.
Here.
We want to bring even more gear to every show because we don't have enough yet.
And no roadies.
Yes, it's always better to make it more complicated for yourselves, just to feel that you're working hard enough to make the sound. But yeah, my question was also more directed towards like, where do you see your sound going towards? Though you said heavier and heavier. Is it gonna go more experimental? Is it gonna be more? I mean, it doesn't matter. But what is?
We're working on a krautrock song at the moment.
Oh my. Okay.
That's actually really impossible to answer because we don't know yet. We just finished writing this new one. It finally came out, and the ideas will be coming. We already have some stuff that we're working on, or ideas that we're working on. But everything that we write with the 5 of us is going to be MODDER, whatever it is, in whatever way it is, whatever sound it is. It's always going to be MODDER because we wrote it. So I don't know yet what it's going to be. We don't know yet. We'll see.
So yeah, Polka MODDER coming next.
Yeah.
Yeah, since this is going well, I'm gonna try to pull off my weirdest, sickest riff. So I think I'm gonna be. Yeah. Ik weet niet meer wat ik moet zeggen. Yeah. It's okay. I'm
Alright.
gonna finish.
Thank you so much for your time. Maybe we can play the last part, the last couple of riffs of the last track one more time, because I really enjoyed it and I just thought it would be a nice closing.
Go for it, yeah.